This is Counterpoint, and I'm Tanya Granick-Allen. It's time for our regular parental rights and education issues roundup. Always an interesting show as things continue to heat up in the area of parental rights and education. We'll cover the major policy announcement coming out of Alberta concerning transgender children. There's been a lot of noise about that. We'll discuss the Toronto Roseneath Theatre and a controversial play by the Toronto Catholic District School Board where they're urging their teachers to go see this play. We'll check in on the Josh Alexander case and see where things stand. And of course, we'll cap it off by discussing the old-fashioned yet in vogue again book bannings, where an Ontario school board seems to be going full bore in dismantling its reading collection. Well, joining me to unpack it all is Amelia Willis, spokesperson for PAFE, Parents as First Educators. Amelia, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me on.
So very shocking, I suppose, for some, not surprising for others, news coming out of Alberta. Premier Danielle Smith made I think the largest announcement to date on how she's going to handle transgender issues and gender ideology with minors. Could you please unpack what was announced?
Yeah, so she released a video in the beginning of February, just adding some. Actually, it's the first province in Canada to do this to this extent. So she'll be banning top and bottom surgery for children 17 and under. Puberty blockers and hormone treatment will be banned for children 15 and under. And for children 16 and 17, they will have to have parental consent, physician consent, and psychologist consent to begin hormone therapy. And then some changes to sports as well. Biological men will no longer be allowed to participate in women's sports divisions. And then similarly, we saw this last part in New Brunswick and Saskatchewan with the policy or the pronoun policy and needing parental consent. So parental consent will be required in Alberta for children to change their names and pronouns at school.
Well, so there's also, a lot in there. Go ahead, sorry.
There is. And the last point, differently than Ontario has it, they're doing an opt-in requirement for any subject matter concerning gender identity, sexual orientation, or human sexuality, meaning the default will be that children won't be taught these things unless their parents specifically give permission for that to happen.
Now, to that last point, that to me seems like that makes sense because parents, the one thing we don't like is when we feel we missed a form and all of a sudden our children are doing something or going on a trip or engaging in some kind of educational course that we didn't want them to, but we missed something and we didn't know about it. So having an opt-in would definitely solve that. But from what it sounds like is gender ideology can still be taught in that province, but parents have to opt in for it.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Very interesting.
And that's, yeah, and it's different than Ontario. Ontario, automatically you're opted in and you have to submit a form as the parent to opt your child out of that type of education.
Which, of course, if you don't have advance notification as to when it's being taught, then it's pretty useless, it sounds like. So the opt-in probably is the most practical if you're concerned about that. But let's go back. So sex change or top-bottom surgeries, or gender reassignment surgeries as they're referred to. So children 17 and under will not be allowed to have it without parental consent, or it's just banned completely?
Banned completely for children 17 and under.
So what are your thoughts on that? Because some folks said, well, if we have a child who is gender dysphoric and we really want them to, they've already started transitioning, what does that mean for that family? Does that mean then they have to wait till they're 18 and they cannot? How do you respond to parents who have concerns of their child?
So I can speak specifically to the hormone treatment. Danielle Smith did specify in her video that children who have already started hormone treatment, these policies will not affect them. But for anyone wanting to start this process from scratch, these will be the policies going forward.
Okay, gotcha. And again, it seems like Alberta, and I was somewhat caught off guard. I mean, we've heard some language coming out of Alberta, but it seems a very comprehensive policy package to deal with what seems to be a troubling issue for parents. Will other provinces follow suit? We'll discuss this when we come back.